What's up, Drop Pod listeners? You can check out new episodes of the Drop Podcast every Wednesday, wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find all of our content on YouTube at the Drop Golf Podcast and on our socials. That's Instagram and Twitter at the Drop_pod. No matter how you consume us, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. Follow and listen along.
This episode is brought to you by All County Exteriors. Discover the excellence of All County Exteriors, a third-generation leader in premier exterior home remodeling, proudly celebrating over 40 years of success. While most remodeling companies last just 5 years, All County Exteriors has withstood the test of time, consistently delivering top-quality roofing, siding, windows, and doors. Their expertise extends from small repairs to large additions, serving homeowners and builders alike. More than just a construction company, All County Exteriors is deeply committed to community service, proudly supporting organizations such as the Make-A-Wish Foundation, the American Cancer Society, Roofs for Troops, and Parents of Autistic Children. If you have planned to do any exterior remodeling, call the experts at All County Exteriors for a free, no-obligation estimate for your project. Just call 732-370-2780 or email them at info@allcountyonline.com. That's 732-370-2780 for All County Exteriors for all your remodeling needs. This is the Drop Podcast where we talk golfing in the Garden State. I'm Mike Poro, and this is Ryan Coulott.
What's up, Drop Pod people? How you doing this week? Ooh, Mike, again, another big episode coming at you, episode 77. I'm excited. You ready to jump into it?
Yes, sir.
Let's go. This week, we have our guest is Kevin Purcell. Kevin is the head chair, CEO, executive director. That's what it is. He kept saying the ED, the executive director of the NJSGA. So that's a big get for us. He's a big wig in the state of golf, obviously being as high up as he is in the organization that basically runs New Jersey golf. That's a huge. It was a huge honor to have him on. So make sure you stay tuned. We got. We sat down with Kevin for 45 minutes or so. So stick around and check out our interview with Kevin. This week, Mike, I know you're teasing it. Is a Mike's verse getting ready? Is it on the horizon?
Well, there's some things brewing in the pot, and it's bubbling. I just don't know if it's still got to the temperature I want it to be before we all taste it a little bit here. So it's still warming up. I'm hopeful, and I'm going to do everything I possibly can to get the Mike Series versus started, presented by Matera's Italian Market. Huge pickup for us that they're willing to jump on, sponsor this. So buddy. You'll see a lot of different meats being eaten maybe out there, a lot of logos being on. But nonetheless, I'm hopeful. I'm really hopeful that I can get that going April 1st. If not, they will come out every Monday beginning April 8th. Through as many times as I play. And last year I think I got 19 holes completed. I only played 30 rounds. So I think the odds of me filming a hole every time I play were pretty good. And we'll see if we can get more this year. So, but nonetheless, the Mike Series, I should say the Mike versus Series should be coming out hopefully either April 1st or April 8th. Once that temperature says hot and the bell rings that it's ready to go.
Love it. That's coming up on Mondays. Again, the Mike verse is going to be Mondays. I'm going to be on Thursdays, kind of continuing, but same thing. I've put a couple out. We got some more will be coming. Again, I would say it in a Sunday sauce kind of style. It still needs a little more time. We're going to add a little bit more garlic and kind of let it simmer for a little bit longer. But yesterday, Tuesday, was episode 15 of TPI Tuesday with Dr. Mike. Go check that out. That's on YouTube. The Drop Golf Podcast is our YouTube channel. Go check it out there. Again, Dr. Mike and I are full steam ahead. These are basically workouts that we're doing. Working on some things. And I will say I did get to play. It was nice this week. So I went out and played a little bit. And It's going to take some time because I haven't hit the range or hit the simulator really or anything like that. But I could feel some differences in the golf swing. Like we've been talking about using the ground to push off and having, the ground foot connection and some different things that we've been working on. I could definitely feel it. It's going to take some time to kind of dial in, but 100% could feel some progress there, which is really cool, to be quite honest. So.
Yeah, and I guess as another tease, Dr. Mike's going to come on the show, and I can't wait to grill him about you. There's probably not a guy that I want to dive deeper in with about you, than him. I need to find out this. I need to find out that. I need to know work ethic. I need to know what he's going to do to maintain, what you're doing to maintain this, because I don't need to hear any relapses. I don't need to hear injuries, soreness, tightness. You better be doing what he says.
I mean, there's going to be soreness and tightness, I'm sure, but yeah, it's been good. He's going to come on. We're kind of figuring out some of the nuts and bolts there, but Dr. Mike's going to come on. The idea, Mike, is that we want to show you the final episode privately so that we can talk about it on the episode. That's kind of what Dr. Mike and I want to do. So we want to plan that out where you can get it. And then we have Dr. Mike on. And
I'll make sure I have a pad and paper next to me as I watch this, because my comments and questions, I'm sure, are going to be endless.
Can't wait. Today's episode 77. Check out the YouTube version as well, the Drop Golf Podcast. We got Mike and I on the YouTube as well. Tomorrow, Thursday, 11 o'clock, big day on Instagram for us.
The finale. The finale. I mean, listen, March Madness, baby. I mean, we're turning the page. I know the real March Madness kind of goes into April, but for us, going into April is about golfing. So this March Madness, the finale, I can't wait to talk about this week.
It's going to be a big one. 11 a.m. on Instagram. Go check out our stories. It is going to be one course versus another. Don't want to give anything away right now because we're going to get into it, but we have two courses that are going up against each other. So go make sure you vote. It's been such as you said off camera, Mike, the traction that we've been getting has been huge. So I can only imagine for this ultimate finale voting how the numbers are going to be. So pop out for your course.
And before we get into this week's topic, I do want to say thank you to everybody that's commented, that's liked, that's made some DMs or even text message about the new logo. It's obviously been something that we've been working on behind the scenes, trying to refresh things, update things, just kind of continue to evolve. And I think, what we had done makes it just look cleaner, just make it look sharper. And I can't thank everybody enough for that, because that is the new logo that you'll see around on a lot of our socials and a lot of different things that we put out. And the next thing I do want to just continue to echo is on the YouTube. When you are watching this, because I know, we see the numbers and we see what's going on. And again, some people may not think it's a lot, but we're sniffing 600 subscribers that follow us there, that listen, that actually watch the podcast. So if you can and you haven't, we'd love for you to click that little blue button that says subscribe. Again, from the inside, you don't realize how much it does for us when it comes to these search engines and algorithms. So if you haven't, we'd really, really appreciate that.
I'd also add, Mike, give it a like. If you're giving it a watch, you're already there. Hit the thumbs up button. It's that does just as much for us as the subscribe. So again, that'd be huge for us. Thank you. Oh boy, Mike, where do we want to go next? Let's attack the smaller things first. Right, so we got the Valspar this week. We got the Texas Valero Open next week. Shout out to our guy.
This week is the Texas Valero Open because today's Wednesday. Last week was the Valspar.
Yeah. See, I get you.
Nonetheless, we understood what you're saying.
Yeah. Good luck to our guys this week. The Jersey Trio playing out there in Texas. Again, we can't be wishing for good enough things for them. And then this past week at the Valspar, Chris and Max making the cut is huge. We don't know where they're finishing yet based on our day of recording here, but they're still in there. So good things happening for you guys. And again, we're pushing hard for all three of you. And again, Rye, keep fighting there. Don't get your head down.
Yeah, listen, we've talked about this many times with the trio here from Jersey is continue to cash checks. Like, let's make cuts, let's cash checks, even when we're not playing well. If we can make cuts and maybe sniff a top 40, a top 30, again, that only helps you in the long term. That if you do get hot, like that only catapults you even further because man, oh man, would it be sweet to watch these guys in the FedEx Cup playoffs, like to watch these down a stretch. And then if they're able to sneak in a major here or there, that'd be unreal. So,
Huge.
Listen, they're playing well. Max and Chris are making the cut this past week. Hopeful that Ryan can get it done because they got a few tournaments here coming up before the Masters. Obviously, they're not participating in the Masters, but they got 3 weeks before then. So I'm kind of hopeful and optimistic that they continue climbing the rankings and getting more points and earning a few more bucks.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you look at the grand scheme of things, all three of them, it's their first year on tour. So really, this is all bonus experience for them. It's how are you doing? How do you want to do things differently? How do you want to, hey, I did this going into this tournament, or I stayed in this hotel and it was too far away, or like, let's make sure we get a car service here rather than Uber because, we need a driver, or like, hey, who can we share a house with so we're not staying in a hotel? Like, you're figuring all that stuff out on this first year, I'd imagine. So, again, I'd say it's all bonus experience in going into next year.
Well, hopefully the key though with that is there may not be a next year if they don't do well enough this year that they're going back down to the Corn Ferry Tour. So
I was just going to ask you, how does that work?
Yeah,
what's their?
Well, yeah, they have to finish within X amount of on the money list or the FedEx Cup list to carry their card into next year. Otherwise, it's like in a sense they get demoted. They lose their card and they're back down to the Corn Ferry Tour. So
I didn't know if it was money list or points that they.
Well, that's kind of like the thing that's kind of like changed within the PGA Tour in terms of like how it works. But I believe it's still the money list in terms of what decides if you make it. I know that when it comes to the FedEx Cup, they got to be within the top 70 to start in the first tournament.
Right.
So
that would obviously keep them in, but if they're not in the top 70, where do they? It's not it's not like 71 falls back down to the Corn Ferry Tour. So I wonder how.
No, I believe it's the top 125 on the money list. That's always what it was, unless they moved it to something else.
Something, yeah.
But maybe it's 125th in the FedEx Cup standings. Maybe that's what it is at the conclusion at the fall. It's something 125, whether it's money list or FedEx Cup. And they gotta stay within that to keep their card for next year. And if you look at where they are right now, none of them are within the top 125.
Right.
Okay. So that's what I'm saying. Making cuts, cashing checks, getting points, that ultimately matters even when they're not playing well. So, that's why something like the Valspar with Max and Chris making cuts is going to help them at least move up a slot or two. Not going to make a unless they do something crazy.
Probably finish top 10 or something like that. And you know what? The Valspar is one where JT was at. There were some guys playing in this tournament. JT was in there, and I know Stuart Sink was, is a guy. It's that's a name in the professional golf. So you have guys, old name, but still a name. So you have guys that are that are, it's not the John Deere that people are taking off that week because it's the week before something. There's still guys in this field. It's not like an open.
Yeah. We got Jason Bale's guy, Locust Glover's right there. So
right.
You got guys in the mix. So it's it's definitely something. But what I can do is I can circle back next week to make sure I can give you that info whether or not it's top 125 on the money list or the FedEx Cup.
Yeah, I'm sure it's easy enough to find, but we that's not going to make for good content here. So let's circle back.
George Wall Ford in Red Bank, New Jersey is family owned and operated, proudly serving New Jersey residents with superior customer service since 1960. Rye, share your story about your experience there.
Mike, I I went on a tangent in one of our episodes previously about it, but I can't say enough good things about George Wall Ford. I needed a new car. I had an old. I loved the brand that I had. I loved, it was an SUV, but had 165,000 miles on it. It was just time, So I hopped on over to George Wall Ford. I saw our guy Jerry, and Jerry and his team were awesome. I mean, from stem to stern, they're there. They're helping. They're knowledgeable. They have so many cars on the lot that you can go in and say, hey, I want a sunroof, a navigation. I want this kind of rims on it. I want this kind of this, that, and the other thing. There's a great chance that they have that car with all your specs, the color, all that thing. Me, I didn't particularly care. I was like, hey, I want to be high up in the car, right? I need an SUV. I'm a big guy. I got a dog. I got golf clubs. I got beach chairs in the summer. I need something that's a little more rugged, a little more again, I like to be higher in my car. And I went and saw Jerry. He pointed me in the right direction. And again, it's awesome to have that kind of help and support from your salesman to the finance guy to even they got somebody who helps you set up your car, right? I got an app on my phone now that's got my auto start on it. I can locate my car if I don't know where it is. I could take a trip to Japan if I wanted to and be like, did I lock my car? And I can go into the app and lock my car. So even people helping you set up that stuff, just the hands-on approach over there is incredible. So if you need a car, head on over to George Wall. And go ask for Jerry. They were awesome there. Again, stem to stern from everybody. I can't say enough good things about it. It was an unbelievable experience.
So to Ryan's point, there isn't a better place to shop for a brand new car. Just call 732-704-1932 and ask for Jeremy Wall. George Wall Ford in Red Bank for all your car buying needs.
Mike, we kind of recapped a little bit of Full Swing when I said, like, I really love the Joel episode, but I hadn't watched the Ryder Cup yet last week. Let's recap the Ryder Cup episodes. Better late than never, with Full Swing. I think most people have seen it by now. I got some thoughts. I'm sure you got some thoughts. I will say it was truly heartbreaking watching Keegan get that phone call. Heartbreaking is the only way to describe it. I mean, and I think JT played well enough at the Ryder Cup to deserve a spot there. I don't think that was a bad decision of Zach Johnson's. I don't. There were some other questionable ones, but I don't think that was one of them. I think you could have gone either way, and it was fine. That wasn't like we didn't lose the Ryder Cup because JT was on it. If anything, we did better than we would have, I think, because of JT. But watching him get that phone call, man, was brutal. And his kid being there, like, what's wrong? It just tugs at your heartstrings, and it was rough. It was really rough, and you feel for him. But I loved his attitude towards it through the whole thing. He's rooting for the guys. Him and his kids, they're all wearing hats. He's cheering them on. He's giving good commentary. I loved his attitude towards it. And I'll say this. I don't know. This might be the cynic in me. I don't know if he was putting on a show for the cameras or if that's really how he feels, but it came off genuine. It really did. It came off like that's how he looked great in it. And good for Keegan, because I like Keegan, and I thought he played well enough. I think that's just Justin Thomas's boys with Zach Johnson closer than I thought, to be honest with you. I didn't know they were that close, but I feel bad for Keegan, but he came off looking great.
Yeah, listen, I don't know how really to say it. I thought Zach Johnson did an awful job. I do. I don't mean to be mean, and I don't know how I would handle it in that situation, but I thought he did a very poor job in leading from the front. When you're a captain of something, or you're a head coach of something, or you're in charge of something, like, there are times where you need to separate yourself, I think, from the boys.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that it's a Ryder Cup year, I'm not saying you need to be and an extrovert, introvert, whichever the word is.
I know exactly where you're going with
You
this.
got to kind of separate yourself.
The optics are awful.
The optics of you having dinner and lunch and hanging and sleeping at
staying in the same house. Yeah.
It's bad, because if I'm Keegan, I look at that like, damn, we knew this was happening. I just think Zach Johnson did a very poor job. But not only did I think Zach Johnson did a poor job of leading, and I know we talked about this at length, which is why when you and I made picks that I said I think the European team is going to win, I thought his pairings were awful. And I think the way that they went about it, listen, I thought he mishandled it from the get-go. I think about leaders and I think about guys in charge. They're alphas. They're strong opinions. They have facts that back it up, and they have a presence. Nothing against Zach Johnson. You won at Augusta. You won at St. Andrews. Unreal. I wish I had your golfing career. But
probably a great assistant captain.
You're not a leader. And I don't mean that in a negative way. Like if I said Zach Johnson, I'd probably swallow my words and take every single one of those comments back. But if you're asking me just to kind of portray that out, I thought he just did a bad job. And I do think Keegan should have been on the team. I don't know if I would have picked Sam Burns to be on the team. I think Sam Burns to me was like the Scotty Scheffler friend favor type thing, knowing that Zach was already doing himself favors by taking JT on the team. So It was kind of like I scratch your back, you type scratch mine. And then I just thought everything that went about within that whole 2 episodes was like Luke Donald got the job done, which is why I think Luke Donald is now getting invited back to be the Ryder Cup captain in Bethpage. Like, to me, that guy made the right moves. He said the right things. He understood how to motivate his guys in a different way. And we all know the European team is just different. It's just different. I truly think sometimes that the United States team struggles in team competitions because I think America is just so driven to be selfish, not selfless. If you ever go to Europe, they are more friendly, open. How are you? Here, sometimes in America, we can be tough and we can be very, our way. And I think sometimes in events like that, it shows. I truly do.
That's a great point, Mike. It really is, because I don't think to be a leader, like in that kind of competition, you don't need to be yelling, screaming. You don't need to be Bruce Pearl, the coach of March Madness is going on, the coach of Auburn, who's screaming, yelling, looks like his head's going to explode because he's going to pop because his blood pressure is so high. It's not necessarily that. It's just how you control your environment. Yeah. And he commanded his environment in all of the times. Anytime that they showed him, he was in command of the conversations with people. He was in command of the report. There was just something different about how he handled himself compared to Zach Johnson. And I think that's, like you said, I think that's it's mean to knock Zach Johnson like that, but some people are just better Robins, and it's tough to be Batman. And I think Zach Johnson is a super knowledgeable. Again, he's got a phenomenal career. People do love him in the golf world. Like, he's very well liked by everybody, but I don't know if he's got that. I don't think he's got that head coach mentality. He'd be a great assistant coach. And again, you talk about like going to a different thing. Like, he's again, great assistant coach, but he's not going to be the head coach that you need in an organization. And there's some people like that just don't have that it factor, whatever it is. They don't have that
which is fine. And I'm not saying it's a
100%. No,
it's not. It's sometimes it's something just within that some people have it and some people don't have it. And it's nothing wrong that if you have it or don't. But in environments like that, we haven't won over there in 30 years. If you're not confident and you don't have a plan and you don't have a plan B and a plan C, then I think we have some issues. And I thought it got started out in such a poor way by everybody spoke about Jordan and Justin being like the guys. They're the American. And the first lineup that we put out is Scotty and Sam Burns.
You have to, if you pick Justin, you have to put him in the first one.
Right. And I know we're recapping. I know we're recapping the Ryder Cup. I get that. But to me, like when I watch those episodes, I think it validated what I initially had thought about Zach Johnson. Just great dude, not a leader.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. The other thing, the last thing I took away, Mike, is again now we're kind of recapping the Ryder Cup. I I get Ricky's point. If that putt's good in other competition, then why is it not good there?
I'll answer that question.
I can also answer that because it's the fucking Ryder Cup.
Exactly.
Because it's the Ryder Cup. Because other competitions it's not good to win. You have to make your opponent win. You might give that to him on the 8th hole. You might give him that putt on the 2nd hole, maybe even the 17th hole, and let's move on to the 18th hole. You have to make a putt to win the competition. Quite frankly, I don't care if it was a tap-in putt. He shouldn't have given him the last putt, especially one that was, as I thought, that lengthy. I was very, knowing the result and then watching it again only validated what I had thought originally. You got to make him putt that. You got to have him putt that.
To me, Ricky's comment there was a defeated mindset.
Yeah.
Which I can't lie. I pinned that on Zach Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, if Zach Johnson was a dog, was like, we're gonna fight to the end. We're not giving up anything. Don't give them anything of 3 feet. Like, let's make them putt it. Like, I get it. It's the Ryder Cup. We haven't won here in 30 years. We are going to pull out every single stop. And that's why I said I didn't think Zach Johnson had a great plan A. And frankly, I questioned if there was a plan B, C, or D, because no offense, we all know the first thing doesn't always work. So you better go to the next thing. And I just didn't think he was fully prepared. I didn't. And I don't want to pin it on Zach Johnson because he didn't play. But we all know, like, the preparation side of it falls on the leader, falls on the guy in charge. And I thought the Netflix, those final 2 episodes, pinned this on Zach Johnson just not having that it factor to lead a bunch of men to go win in a spot they haven't won in 30 years. So Tiger Woods, Bethpage Black. As I've been saying, put him down as a captain, and you'll see a different mentality.
For sure. And I will say this last thing about Luke Donald, because he went to I believe he went to University of Illinois. He lived in Chicago. I've always had kind of a affliction for him.
Infatuation,
yeah. He's a huge wine guy. I remember seeing something a long time ago when I was kind of first getting into golf that, like, he had a 2-store, like, penthouse apartment in downtown Chicago and had a 10,000 bottle wine collection, like a big wine guy. So it was just kind of like, I like Luke Donald. I wouldn't necessarily call him one of my guys per se, but I do really like him.
You got a lot of guys.
I like a lot of guys. I don't know what to tell you.
You got a lot of guys. I mean, I'm sure at some point someone's going to DM me and say, "Can I get a list of Ryan's guys?" And I'm going to have to kindly say, "Listen, we don't have time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that." You know.
I mean, I think the other thing is, like, I think there's so many good guys in golf too. So I don't know. That could be it. But yeah, he's back. We haven't picked one yet. You think it's gonna be Tiger? Are you actually predicting that? Or are you saying that's what you want?
That's what I know.
That's what you know. Okay.
And a lot of Sunday red out there, baby. I will say this: our boy Danny Rappaport did a phenomenal job in that too. If you haven't watched the Netflix series, you have to go back and watch Full Swing. If you haven't listened to our episode with Danny Rapp on there, we bring up this whole series and his role in it, how much he had to say in it, and I thought he did another great job of explaining so many little things, not only behind the scenes, but also about the game of golf. So
for sure, do him and Dylan Dethier not like each other?
Well, I think here's what it is. I think the great analogy between Dylan and Dan Rappaport is the it's like the Wojo versus Shams. I think it's that type of thing where it's that little competition of who's going to break it first, who's got the inside scoop first, and who can, I guess, confirm that the sources that they're given are accurate. Right. So I think it's a competition. I'm going to say no. It's not that they don't like each other, but I think it's a healthy competition.
Okay.
They're the two guys in the golf world.
No, they are. And I didn't know if there was something, because I've heard, you listen to Riggs rag on D-Rap, and he's like, your boy Dylan Dethier. And I didn't know if there was something, like a specific incident or something that I had missed. So
no, it's jealousy. That's one guy's able to break the story before the other. And I think, listen, if I have a scoop and I can beat you to it, you're going to bet like hell I'm going to do everything I can to confirm my sources that I can beat you out. So I'm the first one out there with it, because in a journalism world, if you got the inside scoop and it's confirmed.
Yeah. All right, Mike, let's go to the main event for this episode here.
All right.
Dun, 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 dun,
Right.
dun,
So let me share my screen here.
Ba-dum, bum, ba-dum.
What a week. What a week here. Again, I know we've said it often. I'm hopeful that my screen is now very visible to you and you can see us.
Very most visible.
Good. So like we can kind of get into this a little bit here. Again, I knew that this was going to be one of the things that gets seen by a ton of people. I knew this was going to be one of the things that got voted on by an amazing amount of people. So again, I can't thank everybody enough. But let's start on the Augusta Alley side, where we had two of Crystal Springs Resort golf courses just battling against each other. It's the second straight week we've had that type of matchup. This time it was Ballyowen, your number one seed, your number one pick, your first pick overall, this whole thing going up against Crystal Springs, another one of their resort golf courses that's right there. But unfortunately, listen, just like Ballyowen has really, really done to everybody else, they absolutely manhandle Crystal Springs 74% to 26%. So when I say it was basically 3-1 in votes, just wasn't close at all. Every time I looked, Ballyowen. And I know for a lot of people, when I say numbers, they're not always shared, but between the two of them getting as many views as they did and how many times it got shared, again, I'm blown away and I am so stoked for what tomorrow will entail. But on this side of the bracket, Ballyowen moves on to the championship of the Augusta Alley side. What are your thoughts there?
I'm wearing the hat for a reason, Mikey. We're going to keep rolling with it.
I mean,
again, I don't want to say that I'm surprised, but I think I said it once it beat Wild Turkey so badly that it was going to wile up Crystal Springs because it's pretty well known that it's Ballyowen, a little bit of space, Wild Turkey, a bunch more space, and then it gets into its other courses, right? I think that's pretty well known there. Ballyowen is head and shoulders above everybody. There's a reason it is the number one public course, or is it one every year or it goes between 1 and 2? I mean, there's a reason for it. It is a phenomenal track. It's the pictures are stunning. There's a reason for it. It's unique in New Jersey. So
it's funny you say that because I'll be honest with you. One of the comments on the post that I made about what the Final Four was, there was a follower on Instagram that says Crystal Springs is the hardest of all three golf courses. Now, it may not be the nicest, and on top of it, the follower provided the information with stats and facts, which I love.
Wow.
And he broke it down that like,
did you guys start dating?
No, but we're buddies now. Because he speaks my language. He's talking numbers. I like to talk numbers. So listen, if Ballyowen ends up moving on and winning the whole thing, like, again, I'd like to see if this follower is accurate with what he says, but nonetheless, listen, I think we kind of looked at this side of the bracket. We kind of said it would be surprising if Ballyowen did not get through, and they take care of business as the 1 seed, sliding their way all the way to the finals of the Fairway Faceoff. On the other side, now this is when things were like, I just can't imagine, from my perspective, when I'm going back, checking all this time, in what was a very, very close matchup, back and forth, Architects pulls out a nail biter, winning 53% to 47% over Neshannock Valley.
I'm not going to lie. That's a wider margin of victory than I thought, because when I looked at it, it was 51-49, and I looked at it about 9 o'clock Friday morning to just peek in and see what was going on with it.
So Neshannock lost by 21 votes too, which I thought was a lot when it was going back and forth for a while. But here's the thing. I know I made an SOS last week about architects. Like, can someone help me out to connect with someone there? Because I just have frankly struggled. Well, where there's a will, there's a way. And I found a way to connect with some people at architects, which, like we all know at times, helps for them to share this on their social media. I got architects to actually share the poll, which I think is why so many more people saw it, which is why I think so many more people voted. So to Nishadik's credit, I got the same groups did the same thing as they did last week. They showed out, they shared, they supported their golf course. But unfortunately, when it came to the architect side, more people from the north wanted to see architects move on. And as the 4 seed, they slide their way all the way to the finals. What did you think about the matchup between architects and the Shannock Valley? Did you kind of see that coming or not?
I did not see that coming, to be quite honest, Mike. I really thought that Nishanik was on a collision course to get back to the finals again, back-to-back years. Being that we've talked highly about it, being that it's shared by the course, the town's getting involved. I absolutely love that the town is getting involved in that. I think that's such an awesome thing to rally around, not just for our purposes, but like it's nice to see that the town supports their course, you know. I just think that's incredible. So I was a little shocked to see that, especially with how, I don't want to say with how far, like if they did win, I thought it was going to be closer. Again, I saw it as like there was like a 3 vote discrepancy and it was 51-49. So, yeah, I'm shocked by it. No other way to put it. Shocked.
Yeah, well, listen, the SOS to architects somehow infiltrated to the people at architects because I got through. So whoever that person was, the listener, the follower, whoever was able to say, hey, listen, take their DM and respond, like, thank you, because somehow, some way, my DM got through to those people and they shared it, and we're in contact now. We're in contact.
Do you feel like there was tampering involved? Is Nishanik going to come back to us and say
no? Because tampering? So it's funny you say that, because how I handle things behind the scenes is the same for everybody, regardless if it's my team or your team. To me, it's as much as we have a dog in the fight, to me, it's about, let me help promote you. This podcast has and always will be about golfing in the Garden State. So if I can find ways to promote you, your course, your spot, I will do it. And the same way I did with the Rose, and they put their soft opening, shared that out there. Those are things I think people need to realize, that this is not a selfish play. This is not a selfish move. I'm not looking for anything out of that. All I'm looking for is, hey, listen, we'd love for you to share it so more people get involved. And just like anything, the goal here with the podcast is to play golf, to talk golf, and experience all things golfing in the Garden State. So for anybody that wants to call me out on tampering, bring it.
Love it. I knew I'd get you fired up.
Yeah, because listen, there's no tampering whatsoever. It was 2 of my teams. I frankly, one of them, I got one of them to move on to the final. So, to me, it's like that's not the point. The point is the other one. But now we got a battle.
I do like that it's 1-on-1. I do like you have one, I have one.
It's a battle.
Yeah.
It's a battle. And I know I said from the very beginning, and you told me it really didn't count as architects being like a possible sleeper to win this whole thing because they were a 4 seed, but they've made it to the finals. And I think the matchup between architects and Ballyowen tomorrow at 11 a.m. is going to be something that, numbers-wise, again, as I continue to say, far exceeds my expectations. I think it's going to get the most views out of all of them, all of the Fairway Faceoff. I think it's going to get the most votes out of any matchup of the Fairway Faceoff. And I can't wait to see who wins this, because either way, I guess I'm packing my bags and I'm driving north on the Parkway, because
just what exit you getting off at?
Yeah, just like what time am I leaving? Yeah. So and I'm excited because it's 2 tracks. I know Ballyowen's a spot that you and I've talked about many, many times on this podcast, but Architects really isn't. We've really had no connection to people at Architects, and it's a different type of golf course. It's not the same one that we typically play. That, it has a different hole created by a different architect that emulates a different golf course. So that's kind of unique in its own aspect.
Mm-hmm.
what do you think what do you think the percentage of the votes will be for Ballyowen versus Architects? I want to know that number from you specifically.
I'm shocked that Architects did so well, knowing how many people vote for Nishanik. So that's a little concerning for me, quite frankly. I think I still feel good about my team. I still feel like Ballyowen's going to come out victorious. But a course that's relatively near nothing, with not a resort behind it. Like Ballyowen has a resort behind it. It's got people that follow it for the hotels, people that follow Wild Turkey or Crystal Springs, or Architects is its own entity. I feel like it's going to be 55-45. I'm going to say Ballyowen takes a victory. I think that's going to be my. I work in round numbers, so I'm not going to say like 57-43, but yeah, I like the 55-45, somewhere in that range. I think it's going to be close but safe kind of thing for Ballyowen. What are your thoughts, Mike?
Architect wins 51-49%.
Wow.
51% to 49%. Close. It's going to go back and forth. It's going to set records in terms of views and votes, and I can't wait to see what happens. So you cannot miss this. And if you're listening to it now, it's Thursday. It's 11 a.m. It's live. If you're listening to this the next day, go over to Instagram at @thedrop_pod. Click the follow button. Start voting, because at least you have a say in who Ryan and I are going to see firsthand, and we can report back to you on.
I will say, the nice thing about these two courses, Mike, they're relatively in the northwest part of the state. So in theory, we could hit both on the same day.
You're asking a lot.
I think they're about an hour apart.
You're
But
asking a lot.
we could, in theory, we could
lot.
go 36. You're Mr. 36. You love playing 36 in a day.
Well, listen, you know how I am. If I'm playing golf and I'm venturing out to some part of the state that I don't typically venture, it better be a full day, because I'm spending half my day from where I live driving. So yes, to your point, is like, if I can kill two birds with one stone, it's a lot easier for me to justify than playing one round of golf and driving 2.5 hours to wherever I got to go.
Okay, Mike, then hear me out here real quick. Hear me out. We go up, we play Ballyowen, we stay overnight, we get couples massages, facials, we see the water park at Crystal Springs, and then we go play Architects the next day. What do you think?
I'm out.
Cucumbers on our eyes? Come on, we could do that.
I'm out. Even though the facial sounds great. I mean, I'm not against any of that. You want to put me up in front of the spa, like you want to give me a manicure, a pedicure. I'm not one of those people that be like, nah, you can't do that, guys. I will gladly do that and feel no remorse or no shame in my game whatsoever.
Love it. Yeah, I think we got 4 courses here, Mike, that between. We're getting into Nishanik this year. I mean, I know it didn't win, but we're getting there this year, right? I know you wanted to get there. You've been saying it now for, when did we start this podcast? A year and a half ago? You've been saying it for
77 episodes ago.
Right? You've been saying it for 77 episodes that you want to get to Nishanik. We got to make that happen. We got to make, obviously, the winner, Ballyowen. We got to get up to Crystal Springs again and play Ballyowen. We got to get up to Architects, because if it wins, right, that's the rule. So we got to get up there and play. I mean, we got so many courses that we want to play, and I know there's such little time, but we just got to make it happen, because it's we keep talking about it, and you know what? Maybe we don't, and we just keep talking about it. That's good, and that's good content too. So it's one of those where it's just like there's so many good ones, and it's like, you know, I know we're going to get to Architects or Ballyowen, one of those two. The other one I know we both want to get to, and then it's not like we can't get to Nishanik either. We want to get there as well. So we got some things that we gotta come up with in the works there. But yeah, I think we got a heavyweight match. I'm excited to see. I will be peeking in on the numbers, and you know I don't like peeking in. So
wow,
I'm going to be interested tomorrow.
All right, well, stay tuned.
Yeah. And stay tuned now for our interview with they call that a nice segue. Thanks, Mike. You set me up, I'll spike it. We're our interview now with Kevin Purcell, again, executive director of the NJSGA. And quite a golfer himself. We go into his game as well, and some things that they've instituted on the state level. So, really a great conversation we had with Kevin. So make sure you stick around. Here's our conversation with Kevin. Enjoy.
Comstock Yacht Sales has been the Jersey Shore's #1 boat dealer since 1973. Did you know that Comstock now has 2 on-water sales locations to better serve the boaters across New Jersey? Their full-service marina is located at 704 Princeton Avenue in Bricktown, and their all-new sales location can be found at Navesink Marina in Seabright. Comstock currently carries some of the best boat brands manufactured today. The team at Comstock is proud to be New Jersey dealers for Regulator Center Consoles, Grady Way Boats, Tiara Yachts, Sea Pro, Four Winds, and MGM Yachts. If you're looking for a new or pre-owned boat, or you're looking for help selling your current boat, Comstock Yacht Sales is the place to go. Go online to see their full new boat lineup or stop into one of their 2 locations today. They can be found at comstockmarina.com. That's comstockmarina.com. Or for immediate sales assistance, text them now, 732-604-1237. That's 732-604-1237. All right. So today, our guest, I think when you're talking golfing in the Garden State, who better to get on here than the executive director of the NJSGA? Today's guest is Kevin Purcell. Kevin, thank you so much for coming on today's show.
Happy to be here, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, listen, I can't help but have to talk to you about a lot of different things within all your championships. I mean, obviously I'm a big fan from afar, and being able to start to dabble in a little bit with them and competing in them. Clearly you guys do a great job. But even before I get to that aspect of things, like, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, how you got into the game, how you got to, you went from Bergen County and then you ended up, where you are today. Like, why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey?
Yeah, sure. Happy to. Was fortunate enough to start in a family where everybody was golfers. I am the 4th of 5 boys. My dad joined a club the year I was born. So he joined 1963, and by then my 3 older brothers, he was an avid golfer. Took up golf after the Second World War, where he was here after the war ended in Europe, and all of his friends were either in Europe or Japan. He had nothing to do, only a couple guys, and one guy played golf and said, "Hey, why don't you come play golf?" He said, "I don't know how to play golf. I don't have clubs." And he said, "I'll take care of it." So he became a golfer, and 30 years later, he joined a club, and we were all fortunate enough, the 5 of us, to be able to play, grow up at a club, and learn the game through him. So started there, started early. As I said, my 3 older brothers were all pretty good golfers, good athletes all around, but my oldest brother in particular was a good golfer, and I kind of wanted to be like him. So when I was growing up, I had the opportunity to practice and such at a club, and when there was nobody really around that was near to me in age at the club, so I kind of spent my time on the practice range, and became a pretty good player, and or at least to the level where I could really enjoy it, and enjoy competing. And then kind of stepped along. Played golf in high school at Paul VI in Clifton. Then played walked onto a team down at the University of Tulsa, and eventually played down there. Came back here and worked as a sales job, and eventually started my own business doing graphic design and printing sales. And then I happened to play in an outing with the director of parks of Bergen County, and he said, "Love for you to come in and talk about running the golf courses for us." And I was like, "What are you talking about? I have a business of my own, and I've not." But he kept calling me. In fact, I went away that next day to Hilton Head, and he called. This is before cell phones. He called the house that we were in Hilton Head, and every day, and asked me, "Hey, come on, I want you to come see me on the way back." So I said, "Well, what do I have to lose? Well, we're going to be talking about golf, so pretty cool." So I went in, and we worked it out that I kind of kept my business going for a little while I took over running the 4 county courses at the time, and then things just blossomed from there. We were able to renovate all the courses. We were able to buy another course, and eventually the State Golf Association invited me to come on the board. That was back in 2006, and then 2015 I came on as executive director. So good run in golf so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep it going.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think you do undersell. I mean, the good player. I mean, we could get into the playing thing as well, because I think that's an understatement with your game. So, but let's talk about the NJSGA, and I think really the evolve of the whole thing in general, because I think back to when I was a younger kid and seeing all these different things pop up, and this qualifying sites, and the locations of venues, because you're a competitive golfer and you got to see these spots. But I think as I've gotten older and you're able to like really look at what you guys have done throughout basically your tenure there, the number of qualifying sites has gone up, the venues have gotten even better. Talk about like the evolution more or less of the NJSGA under like things that you've wanted to implement and you've been able to, and then maybe some things that you kind of project even forward.
Yeah. The great thing about New Jersey, as you guys know, the golf courses in New Jersey are as good as anywhere in the country. Within a short drive, we've got all kinds of golf courses. You got golf courses in mountains. You've got golf courses like Bayonne and Liberty National that are right outside of the city. You go down to Manasquan River and Spring Lake, and you've got shore courses, and then you go west from there to there is a little course down there, a little east of Philly called Pine Valley, which isn't so bad. And you got a few things. The golf itself is tremendous. So we've got a great opportunity to run championships on really fine golf courses, and the clubs themselves are just terrific. Great support from the PJ staffs and such. So when we come in, certainly me being a player as ED was not something unique. Steve Fail, prior to me, was around for 25 years, did a great job bringing the association along. He was the first real full-time ED, and did wonderful work. And then when I took over, we had a real solid staff, which we still have. Most of the guys are still here. We've added to the staff, but it's people who are passionate about providing a great tournament and other amenities through their hard work that's really paid off over time. And we've been able to add uh, some some things like our Hall of Fame. Last year we started the Women's Open. We started the senior interclub matches. So some real popular things that have taken off. But it's really a team effort. As I said, a lot of great staff members, but an amazing group of volunteers too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, on top of that, I praised you guys last week, the week before, something like that, about the giving high school kids and high school golfers the handicaps, kind of going in with some of the new things that you guys are trending to. It's adding that to the plate as well. It just you guys have been on a roll with making good decision after good decision. So keep up the good work.
Yeah, thanks. Rich Kennedy is our membership director,
Mm-hmm.
and he came to me at the end of last year. The high school program has been something we've wanted to break into because we would offer the handicapping for free for anybody under 18 years or under, which really comes to us from the USGA for free. So we're just passing it along, but we need to get the kids using it. So really, what Rich said was instead of just giving high school golfers a handicap and then just rolling the dice whether they're going to use it or not. He got involved with the coaches. The NJSIAA started with a group down there to help get our way in with the coaches and develop some relationship with some of the coaches. And now we've got like 39 coaches who have agreed to take it on, make sure the kids are posting their scores, and really getting them acclimated to the system so that after high school they'll want to stay in it and use the gym system moving forward.
Yeah, and I think within that whole system, that whole app has evolved as well. You want to talk about like evolution. I remember when I first started putting it in, you had to manually enter the slope and the rating, where you played. Now, like between the games that you could find on there that Ryan showed me a few weeks ago, it's like it's a full-blown app now that it's more than just enter your scores, which I think is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. The USGA has done a really good job with that. Trying to attract that younger crowd, making sure that GPS is there, and the GPS is a strong product that's there. But the games that you talk about, that you can go ahead and you stand on the first tee, you put the other three players in there. It'll find their gin handicap. It'll create their course handicap for the day, and then you can just pick your partner, and then you can pick, keep the score right in there. And at the end of the round, it'll post your scores. Just hit post, and all the scores will go in there hole by hole, so all your stats will be in there, and then you can go back in and add other stats in there, like did you drive the ball in a fairway, did you hit it right at a green, or you hit it at a bunker, so, and all those things you can keep over time. So there's that is just going to continue to get better and better, because we've already heard from the USGA that there are a lot of nice features coming down the pike.
Good. Yeah, that's one where in golf you there's a limited number, or a perceived limited number of things you can do. So like if you have a regular game with some buddies you play every Saturday morning or whatever, yeah, a match is always nice. You can get some money involved and whatever, and sure, that's all great. But like I love when there's like, why is the Ryder Cup great? Because it's a different format than every other week. Because you see the team event, you see guys playing each other, so you can do different things there. And there's more than just like, okay, well, what do you want to do? Well, I don't want to play alternate shot because I'd like to hit my ball as many times. So what else is there that we could do? And you have different games, and you just for someone who doesn't necessarily know all the games, this is a good way to bring them in, and still, again, playing as much golf as you want to, but also playing just like, hey, I'm going to go get my score today. I don't want to say it's boring necessarily, but if you're playing the same way over and over, week after week, for 60 rounds a year, maybe you want to change it up,
Yeah,
once
yeah.
in a while.
And listen, there's a feature that's going to be launched pretty soon. It's called leagues, where you'll be able to join a league and play against different people just through the handicaps, through the gin system. So if I'm playing at Galloping Hill and you're playing at Trenton, we're in the same league. It would equate those scores based on the slope and the course rating, and there'd be a leaderboard, and then so the leaderboard would happen, and so it'd be kind of a fun thing where you can get into people that or even people that you don't know. So those kind of things are going to become available at some stage.
That's great. I love
Yeah.
Yeah,
that.
I
Yeah.
I think that again goes to like the community of golfing too. I think that's another thing that when you think about everyday golfers, they're not all the competitive, like I want to go low, I want a competition, I want this. I can now not only touch on that golfer, but now I'm incorporating everybody. And I think again, when you're talking inclusion and talking the game of golf, like I think the app is trending in the right direction completely with that. So, but Kev, as we like look ahead to 2024 in your calendar here, I obviously like a lot of like well, maybe not like a lot. I'm a nerd when it comes to like this type of stuff. Like I see it, I'm all in. I'm trying to find like inside stuff. Who's hosting this, who's hosting that. But when you look at your championship venue, and I can obviously touch on the qualifying sites as well, but if you get the opportunity to get through qualifying, you make some of these spots. Why don't you talk a little bit about the process of how that goes to get these top golf courses year after year, not always the same ones. You're able to dabble in different ones here, there. Talk about how that process is like.
Yeah, it's the hardest thing that we do, and it's only hard. It's not only hard here in New Jersey, but it's particularly hard here in New Jersey because of all of the other associations that are hosting events in our state. So you got the PGA section, you've got 3 or 4 different women's groups, you've got the Gap events down south, and you got the MGA events, and everybody needs to have the best courses for their major championships. But really, it's the qualifiers and all the other championships that fill out the schedule that that are sometimes the hardest to do. Last year, the last thing we put on the schedule was the father and son, which is kind of a funny one because we actually, clubs make a little bit of money on that because there's cart revenue, there's food revenue and such. But we just had a tough time doing it. With the quantity of play that has hit our golf courses since COVID. It's been harder and harder. But our tournament director, Brad Barden, that's his main job. He starts that in pretty much the midsummer for the following year to try to fill out all of the smaller events and the qualifiers. Most of the majors are a few years out. Our Open is we have the Open out until about 31, I think. We've got the amateur out until the late, 20s. But if you want to get Baltusrol and Plainfield and the courses that are hosting not only the other championships that are around the state, but national stuff like Plainfield is going to hold the US 4 ball next year, and you got to be on their schedules early. So Brad has had the idea to start talking to some of these courses in a 10-year cycle, saying we'd like to be there for our Open and maybe one other thing, or our amateur and a women's amateur, but we like to do that in the next 10 years. Can we look at the schedule and see if we can start plotting that out? And it's been successful so far. So most of the golf courses are very open to that kind of a concept. Instead of coming to this time of year and saying, hey, can we get on your schedule next year? It's working out a little better for us.
I would imagine that's better. Next year they're booked up already. They got their own club events. They have, again, like you said, you got the MGA, you guys, the Gap, the different women's organization. Like they're full next year already. So sure. I'm sure they like flipping the calendar and going, oh yeah, this is a much more open time. What day would you like?
and listen, credit to the golf courses. They're so generous with their time. There's that unwritten belief in golf that you need to support the game, that you need to give back to the game. And we see that day in and day out in our association, because clubs are saying, okay, yeah, come take our club over for 2 days, take our club over for 3 days. And it's really an amazing give, but it does create that community that you guys were talking about that's so special in golf.
I think the one spot for me when I look at your schedule, and I look at all the championships and I'm always looking, that's a great venue. I'd love to get to that spot. I'd love to get there. And then you start piecing a calendar together and it's like, all right, that's just not happening. But I think the one spot that stands out, that
Mike was ready to play in every one of your events this year.
Listen, I can't try
and play in all of the qualifiers. He was ready. He's like, I got all these.
Let's say try to. Let's not venture big things ahead. But I love the fact that you guys are coming south for a major when I think about the Mid-Am. And I know living down here in Long Beach Island, it doesn't always venture down here, whether it's a qualifying site or whether it's a championship, because I know, comparatively speaking, the North has the dominant golf courses. I get it. But the fact that when through the grapevine I had heard before it was announced that you were coming down to Union League National, I was like, boy, oh boy, are they in for a treat, because, through the grapevine, Ryan and I got the opportunity to go play there in the fall, and every hole was such a picturesque hole that what they done with Sam Barons to completely change that spot is amazing. I think that is going to be the one spot out of all of them that every one of these participants that play there are going to come back to you and be like, holy hell, that was absolutely amazing.
But how good for that course, that club, to give up their course so early in their existence, really, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's only a couple of years, and we approached them early on. We got them in as members, which was great, and then for the big ask to say, hey, will you host something, and then for them to say yes, we're over the moon. It's just we're so thrilled to be going, and the players, like Mike, like you said, the players are thrilled to have the opportunity to get on there too.
Have you got to play it?
I have not yet. I haven't seen it yet. I'm just seeing it through pictures.
Oh my
so
God.
I can't wait to get down there.
Listen, I'm telling you what. When I knew
it's
that
better than advertised. All the talk about it, it doesn't do it justice. That's how good I think that place is.
I knew Ryan had it he wanted to play there. It was like on a bucket list. Like, there's no way I'm going to get on there. There's no way. And part of my job is to connect with different people and see if we can feature them, their golf course, all different things. So I had like a little like crack of a door to get me in. And I said, let me see if I can make it happen. And I never told them where we were going. I said, listen, save this date. We're going to play here. And when I told him we were going there, he thought I was joking. And then you see the pictures, but then you get to experience it. It is like unreal. So like, I can't wait till you get to see it firsthand and actually hit a golf ball and see that whole spot. Man, everybody's in for a treat there. And I think you coming south, and I know the people in North Jersey, I talked to like a lot of the good mid-ams in the state, and they're like, dude, I got to drive potentially an hour and a half, 2 hours south. And I said, I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. But I'm telling you what, you're not driving 2 hours south to just some jamoke of a golf course. Like you are going to be fucking blown away when you see this spot.
So true. So true. Listen, I got to tell you a quick story. We have a call with all the executive directors in the USGA once a month. And the last month I said to the guy who puts the slideshow together, I said, how come you never use any pictures from New Jersey? Because there's always an opening picture of a great hole somewhere else in the country. So he says, I got you next month. So this month, I'm looking at it and I go, son of a gun, he didn't put another golf course in New Jersey on there. I don't recognize this golf course at all. It was Union League. And I thought it was so beautiful. It wasn't until I looked down at the little caption I realized Union League National, New Jersey. I said, son of a gun, it looks so pretty. It was, very impressive. So thrilled going down there. So happy about the support from the club to allow us in there, and certainly we'll be back. But right to your larger point about coming south, we know we've got to come south. We've got to do that. In those players who say, "Oh my God, I got to drive an hour and a half going down," hey. You're not playing golf in Texas. You're not playing golf in Nevada. You can go 2 hours, you can get everywhere in our state, as opposed to, going from Houston to Austin to play in the state amateur. You've got to spend a whole week up there. So we're pretty fortunate here in New Jersey to be able to move around to great courses pretty quickly.
Right. And Atlantic City is not very far away. I'm sure they could figure out something to do down in AC as well to bide their time if they got to go down for a practice round before.
Very true. So we're going to Atlantic City this year too for our senior four ball. So that'll be great. And we're going down to Hollywood for the first tournament of the year, the four ball. So pretty cool about that. Yeah.
I think it seems to be a plethora of golf courses in the north where there's just more golf courses, and even if you want to say more better golf courses, if that's proper English, like you could even argue that, and that's fine. But utilizing ones like Union League, like AC, getting in with those I mean, those courses they need to be showcased, because again, Union League was one that is just gonna blow you away when you get on there. It really is.
Hey, listen, we've also been down for last year. We had we eventually had the father and son at Laurel Creek. We've been down to Hidden Creek. Just some real solid golf courses.
There
down
are,
there that are great to see. Yeah.
Yeah, and listen, selfishly, I love the fact that you dabbled down here, because I know there's been people, a lot of like the Gap type area guys have said to me like, man, I wish they would come down. I wish they would come down. And I said, listen, if I ever see somebody, I'd no problem asking the question, because I guess it's just why. But now that you're coming down, I even see that there's qualifiers down here too. LBI Nationals hosting a state open qualifier. It's hosting a state AM qualifier. So like the opportunities are there. And I think that's what people in the South, in a sense, are excited about too. So
when a guy like Troy Venucci can play as good as he does, traveling to 90% of the tournaments, every once in a while we got to throw him a bone and get him one that little closer to his house, sleep in his bed for once in a while.
He wins Player of the Year. There's no doubt we got to accommodate that
for sure.
How are the courses more willing to host an event or a qualifier? Have you found any?
The qualifiers are easier for them. It's one day you're in and out. But I think when clubs look to host an event, they want to host one of the majors. They want to host the Open, the Am, the Women's Am, or the Mid Am. But so Brad has a job to try to convince the clubs that hosting a four ball is just as cool. The four ball for us has been sold out for the last 3 years. Every spot has been taken at a qualifier, and there's been a waiting list. Last year, I believe we even added a qualifier at a public course that we were able to arrange after the fact, just to get 60 more guys in to the qualifying ranks. So I think the clubs really are looking for the majors, but they do help us out when we need the qualifiers and such because it's a little easier to pick.
And let's talk
Makes
a little
sense.
bit about your game. I know in the beginning you said like, I can dab a little bit, but I mean, you were, if my research is right, you did win the 2021 Senior Men's Player of the Year for the NJSGA. So it's not like you just bunted around and I shoot 85 and no big deal. Like, you can get the ball in the hole. And then when I started doing some even more research, obviously where the state am is this year is a home place for you. Talk a little bit about like your game and like when you step aside from your job and you can now say, I'm going to focus a little bit on my golf game. What are your expectations this season?
So you're right. I put a big effort into this over the years. It was my thing to do. Raised two boys, had a family, and loved all that. But golf was my little escape that I got to put effort into it, and I enjoyed working on it. So yeah, I did have some success, but I've never really had great success. I had. I like to think of I think of my tombstone when I passed is either going to have one or two epithets. It's either going to just have third, or it's going to say plays well with others. So third would be I finished third twice in the AM, in the pre-senior, in the senior, in the Schiavone Invitational, and I lost 5 times in the quarterfinals of the mid-am, which is kind of like third, three rounds from the final.
Yeah.
So all really good, very positive things, but third, never beyond those. And as far as plays well with others, my brother Pat and I won the 4-ball back in '97, and Bob Kennedy and I won back-to-back senior 4-balls a couple years ago. So, good fun. Love being able to compete. But the nice thing about playing well enough to finish third or around the top is that you're there at the end to see all the guys, have a few beers afterwards. And I've been very blessed with that because that's really, for me, that's the best part of the game.
That camaraderie, that they're bringing people together, like we talked about. Yeah.
Absolutely. And now I'm in a position where I can help to foster that and make sure that happens at events. And I take a lot of, we as a group take a lot of pride in doing that.
Yeah.
But knowing that the state am is in your backyard this year, I mean, from my understanding, again, you are a former multi-time club champion there, right? And Forest Hill Field Club is your spot. Are you thinking about trying to get in? Or do you get an automatic exemption because of your, like, how does all that work? I mean, there's got to be something that says, like, when it's my home course, you just know things a lot different than others. You play all the time. Like, all right, I can miss it a little right here.
Yeah.
Are we thinking about going into it?
Absolutely. I'm going to try to qualify.
Let's go.
So,
Breaking news. Let's go.
So I haven't tried the AMP in God knows how long. But the fact that it's at Forest Hill is definitely the cursor. I was the club champion would be automatically exempt. Typically is automatically exempt, and I won the club championship the 3 previous years. But last year I lost in the first round. So bummer I didn't get in that way. But the funny thing about Forest Hill, one of those times I finished third was back in 1996 at Forest Hill, where I played a real good third round where I shot 69 in the third round and kind of moved myself into contention and played, didn't play really well on the back 9 of the last round, but came off the 18th hole and we didn't really know what was going on. Again, pre cell phones, you didn't have online scoring, didn't really know what was going on behind us. So I was being interviewed at the hill up the hill from the 18th green, and Jeff Thomas was in the group behind us, and Jeff Thomas came up and he whispered in my ear as I was being interviewed, "I nipped you by 1." And then I was in the third to last group, he was in the second to last group, and Bill McGinnis was in the last group, and he nipped Thomas by 1. So it was a pretty cool finish there, right at the home club with all the people that knew me growing up and all. And so I'm looking forward to seeing if I can get in that championship. I wish I was club champion to get in automatically, but I'll have to earn it, which is good by me. Either
Yeah.
that or I'll have to put my foot down and have those guys give me an exemption.
Sponsors exemption.
I mean,
Which isn't going to happen. Yeah.
I think that's a fair ask. If you're asking me from an outside perspective, I have nothing to do with what's going on. I think that's a valid, fair.
No chance. Would never accept it. I'll go
We're
earn
for
it. I'll
more
go earn it. I'll
inclusive
get
golf.
it.
So between Forest Hills and where you guys are at Galloping Hill, you got some places to work on your game.
For sure. Oh, this is
Yeah.
great right here at Galloping Hill. I'm either here in the mornings or in the evenings hitting balls. It's a great facility, with the 3 practice greens right here, and then the driving range. And Forest Hill, although it's only a 15-minute ride up the highway, at the end of the day after work, that turns into about 45 minutes because it's kind of the worst part of the parkway. It's it becomes, but you know what? It's good once you get there. I have a kind of a routine that I've been doing since I was a little kid up there. I wasn't a full member since I was a little kid. I left when I was running the Bergen County golf course and raising the boys, little league coach and that kind of stuff. But then I had the opportunity when I took this job to go play at a club, and I wanted to go back home. So happy to be there. Yeah.
Very nice.
And
So
they've done amazing things at Forest Hill. So can't wait till the tournament players see the evolution of Forest Hill since Rob Marziato took it over and Tom Kite did a renovation. It's really good. Have you guys ever seen it?
Never. No.
Have you guys ever come to one of our? I know Ryan plays. I know Mike plays in our tournaments. But we'd love to have you guys come out to an event. If we can arrange.
I hope to play in the football. It's funny you say about the football. Austin and I are coming to Galloping Hill for the qualifier.
Wait a minute, Austin said he would play with me this year in the 4-ball.
I know. Listen.
Ooh, this got awkward quick.
Listen. That was done once we got eliminated on the 19th hole last year. I said, I swear to God, I'll be better next year. I promise.
Okay,
I promise.
I'm just teasing you.
You might have to go to the 10-year plan. Go to the 10-year plan, and then maybe you can book them. But no, we are coming there. I've never seen the golf course, but we're coming there to maybe get lucky to go see.
Yeah, very good. Good.
So,
listen, you guys, we'd love to have you guys come out to an open or an AM at some stage, and maybe interview some guys afterwards and kind of have some fun that way.
Hey, we'd love to. Anything that we can do to help, increase the game of golf. Anything that we can do. You scratch our back, we'll scratch yours, kind of thing. Totally in for that.
Yeah.
So, how long has you guys been at Galloping Hill there? How many years?
2015.
Okay.
2015. They just did the clubhouse in 2014, and then we moved in here. We moved away from the cottage we had in Bloomfield down across the parkway here in Kenilworth in 2013. That was before my time. I came in 2015. The clubhouse association moved here in 14. They built it in 13. So it's been a great run for us here. Very supportive. The county's very supportive. The Kemper Sports guys who are here running it, the golf operation for Union County, have been terrific to work with.
And if I'm not mistaken, they did a renovation to the course kind of right around then too, right? Maybe a little before. Yeah. Maybe the renovation was first.
It was right afterwards because in the agreement for us to come here as an association, we said to Galloping Hill that we would host the Open here, which we did in 2016. So in 2015, that's when they did a renovation, and it was they did a great job here. Tyler Hall was the actual champion that year of the Open, and that was what Tyler was on a heck of a run, and it just showed true that this would produce a great player and as champion, and it did.
Yeah. So I got family up in Kenilworth, so I pass Galloping Hill quite a lot whenever I go up there. But I got to play it once before the renovation. Yeah. So I've actually, every time I go past, I go, you know what? I got to get out there and see this renovation and see the clubhouse. Sure. And so we're gonna make that happen this summer. I think.
I'll make a visit. Absolutely, we make it happen.
And I believe that Chris kind of oversees a lot of the operation there at Kemper Sports / the Galloping Hill side. Because I've been able to connect with Chris about a lot of different things here and there. He's another great dude that has said to us more or less, "You guys want to come up and see it? Just let me know."
For sure. They really get it here. They really understand. And when I mentioned before that we had a qualifier for the 4-ball last year, this is where we had it. We just went down to Chris and said, "Hey, you think you could squeeze us in there, block us some times in a couple of weeks where we can we want to get 60 more players in the tournament?" And he said, "Sure." So really good team to work with.
Yeah, no doubt.
Love that.
So, I mean, one of the questions I like to end with Kev is about golfing in the Garden State, because I think someone of your caliber who's got to see so many great spots, both private, public, all over the place. For our audience who gets to experience a lot of golf really in the area that they live in, if they were to be invited to a private golf course and they had something going on, they'd have to ask, hey, listen, I got to drop what I'm doing and I got to go. Give us a private spot that you'd recommend, and you got to discount your home course and Pine Valley, because the idea that people get invited there is slim to none. And then if you do have a public golf course that you'd say, hey, listen, I know it's public, but you got to go see it. Do you have any in mind that kind of stand out to you?
Absolutely. Having worked in public sector and having good friends with a lot of the guys who were GMs at the public courses, I've got a lot of great thoughts about public golf. As you can imagine, I get this question a lot. That it's kind of the conversation, break into the conversation with me. So, what's your favorite course? And I have a hard time with that because I love golf. I love so many different golf courses, and I'm certainly partial to Forest Hill and Tillinghast and such. But if there, a lot of times I look at the full experience when you're at the golf course as opposed to just the golf course itself. And I have had tremendous experiences at Hackensack Golf Course as a private course up in Bergen County. Now, you guys may not know about that because it's kind of a little hidden. It's kind of in the shadow of Ridgewood and Arcola because the U.S. Amateur and such. We just had our Open there last year, and the pros were all the players were just astonished at how solid a golf course it is, but even better, what great club it is. The camaraderie at the club, the setup of the facility, the putting green, the outdoor patio, the bar outside. It's an experience where it's a whole lot more than the 4 hours you're playing golf. That's where you tell your wife, I'll be back in 8 hours because that's the
Yeah, it's
day.
at least a 6 hour round today because it's slow out
For
there.
sure, very slow out there,
You're
and you got
speaking
to
my
commute
language with
back
an
and
outdoor
forth
bar there.
for sure. And then listen, on the private side, I'm sorry, on the public side, I'm glad you didn't use the caveat that I couldn't use the Bergen County courses, which I managed for 19 years, because as I said when we were talking about that, I had the opportunity to renovate all the golf courses, and the Rockley golf course, which is Rockley's in the northeastmost town in the state, has got 27 holes, and we renovated 18 of those holes, and it became a really good golf course. It plays just over 7,000 yards from the back tees, and the distance really doesn't matter as much as the fact that there's a lot of variety of holes, and it's really a good public course. We started up there when I was there, the Bergen Am, and we had a lot of fun inviting a lot of the guys that I knew who I played golf with over the years to come and play in it. And I've been out of there 10 years, and that tournament's still going on, and guys still say they go up and play in it, and it's a lot of fun, but a good golf course. And listen, there's so many good ones around us. It's really hard to pick. And I'm going to hear from my friends that are at some of those other clubs. Why didn't you say, this or that? I'm not going to mention anymore because it'll just piss other people off.
I always, anytime we ask someone that's like, oh, I don't want to make any, I don't want to offend anybody, and it's not like you're trying to offend them. It's just like each person has their own particular
Taste.
what's it take. Yeah, like again, I loved Union League, and I know
Yeah.
some people are going to go there and be like, this is a nice course, and I tell you, I absolutely loved it. The same with like Mike and I talk about it all the time. I love North Jersey Country Club. I thought
Yeah.
that place was
Yep.
special. And the
Yep.
new renovation that they did, it was spectacular. And again, I know some people are going to go there and be like, this is a nice place. And they're going to say, I like this place better, whatever. It's all your personal preference. And I
Yep.
don't think of it as like offending somebody or leaving somebody out, especially in where we are. There's so many great places that it's just whatever your personal, whatever hits your eye better.
Right. We were at North Jersey in the fall for an event, and it was a perfect day. Leaves were turning, sun was shining bright, and the outcroppings of rock from looking sideways from hole across hole, it was just the prettiest. Multiple times during that round, when I was just traveling around, making sure everything was going, I just stopped and looked out at the vista. It was just amazing. And so North Jersey, we're going to be there next year. Guys, we haven't really talked about it much, but next year is our 125th anniversary, so we're looking forward to that. We're kind of
Oh,
great,
wow.
working on some programming for that. And one of the things we're going to do is we're going to go to all of our founding clubs, as many of the founding clubs. There were 10 founding clubs, and there are 6 clubs that are still in existence. So we're going to have the amateur at Essex County, and North Jersey is going to host an event. So we're really looking forward to that celebration.
Where
So
can you break those? Can you say what's where?
you know what, to tell you the truth, I wish I had them all there. Mike was talking before about how he loves going through the schedule and everything, and it's one of the things I hate because I can't remember. So this year I have the 2024 schedule right here, so I remember what it is. But I know we were to be at Plainfield next year, but then they're going to have the US4 ball, and that happened since we made the arrangements. So we swap Plainfield, and we're going to go next year to Hamilton Farm for our Open, which is a great venue, as you know, Mike. You played out there in the 4 ball last year. But other than that, it's let it be said that it's going to be a great year for tournament golf. So.
I mean, listen, you're tickling Ryan's
go,
fancy
Mike.
talking about North Jersey Country Club. I mean, there's not a spot. Again, that was another thing, Kev. Like when I kind of like put the schedule together for Ryan, all right, we're gonna go here, we're gonna interview this person, we're gonna play this. My background and Ryan's background is very different in terms of the golfing aspect and the competitive side. And I just tell him, okay, listen, we're gonna go here. It works for both our schedule. We got this interview this time, and I know he doesn't really know a lot about all the spots, but I know that like, all right, he's going to walk into this spot and be like, oh yeah, this is it. And I knew that North Jersey was going to do that. And I swear to this day, I feel like if you're talking about like a kid in a candy store, that describes what Ryan looked like the day he played North Jersey.
Coming off that Hamburg Turnpike and you go up the winding road and you see the first view of that clubhouse. That clubhouse is like what? It's like the Wingfoot clubhouse.
It really is.
It's like the Mountain Ridge clubhouse. It's like, holy cow, this is as good as it gets. And then you walk out behind it. And listen, I've been playing that golf course. They have been very generous to the association. I remember I played my first amateur qualifier at North Jersey, shot 103. I was about, I don't know, I remember it like it was yesterday because it was so bad. The golf was so bad, but so supportive by the other guys I played with. But I remember that golf course, and it was so overgrown with trees and everything. Now they've opened it all up. Spectacular now,
It's
right?
stunning.
Yeah.
It was out of all the courses I played last year, it was my favorite. It was
very cool.
And to be honest, I don't think it was close because I that's how much I loved it. And I also played Union League last year, and I just went on for 15 minutes about how much I love Union League. So I think it goes to show my thoughts on there. And again, it goes to your point of like we had a great experience there. We played with director of golf there, Brian Mackey. We played with James Sirico as a superintendent, and the pro came out, Brian Kohlpfeifer, and it was just like it's such a great experience that we had. And then sitting and interviewing them afterwards in like this old building, like I love history, so like the historical old section of like, oh, this used to be the entrance. They'd come in here, the pool was at. It's just like the whole stem to stern. It wasn't just the golf course there. That was the experience. So to go to your point, that's what's required to make it a good spot.
For sure.
Shout out to those guys. I absolutely love it there.
Yeah, it's great.
I collect golf balls. So I did not buy a golf ball there. Because it was downpouring when we left, so I didn't get to go into the pro shop actually. But I did say to them, next time I come back, I'll make sure I get a ball. So now I have to go back.
Yeah,
so
very cool.
That's like George Costanza leaving a little bit of when he goes on a date with a girl, leaving something, Costanza. So Kev, you said that you play competitively still. And I think that golfers are kind of quirky by nature. And I want to know, what are some of your quirks that you might have on the golf course that before you get ready to tee it up for a competition, like what are some things that you have to kind of keep you centered? And I'll give you this caveat. Stu Hagestad told me I got to change it from quirks to habits. But some things that you have to have, like a glove in this pocket,
Sure.
tees in this. What are some things that you have there?
So there's definitely a rhythm to the way I set things up. It starts the night before. I'll typically play the round of golf in my head the night before, laying in bed, go through shot for shot, including the putts, making sure that I get a positive thought about each of the shots before I head to the golf course. When I get to the golf course, I want certain things in my pocket. I need the ball repair tool. I need some coins and tees, one or two tees. I'll figure the rest out when I get out there, but that's it. With regard to, I do wear a glove. Typically put that in my back left pocket, but all that stuff just that's like force of habit, that kind of stuff. One of the things that I really don't need that I hear a lot of guys talking about is a warm up session. Like growing up at Forest Hill, it's 150-yard max off of mats. So I typically go down there with a sand wedge or a wedge and hit a couple of swings, just loosen up enough. I don't need to hit every club. I never hit drivers growing up, so I just get on the first tee. That's my first drive. So it's just one of those things that for me I don't need. And then once I'm on the golf course, I focus like everybody else when you're over the shot. But what's not over the shot, I kind of like to talk to the guys in the group, unless I'm playing bad, because then I get a little quiet. And then I kind of I couldn't say that. I couldn't say that on this podcast and have any of the people who played golf with me ever say, "What do you mean you talk on the golf course? You're playing bad. You don't say anything." So I tend to go off on my own that way. My dad did that. I kind of follow suit, strolling around on my own. But once I start hitting a few better shots, I come back into the fold.
There you go. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree there.
Yeah, for sure.
That's good. Yeah, I like asking that because it is interesting. Like some people are like, if I break a tee, I have to put a tee right back in there because I feel off balance, or and it is whatever you need to feel good. It's your stuff. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. But I do find that interesting because I think as golfers, we're just rather superstitious kind of people. So
I would tend to agree. Yeah, as if you look at everybody as a whole, but it's makes the game great. Everybody comes at it a little bit differently, and we can still all enjoy each other's company while we're doing it.
For sure. The last question that we always ask is, we'd be remiss if we didn't ask it, because this is a New Jersey podcast, and the great debate in New Jersey is the name of a particular kind of breakfast meat. What do you call that breakfast meat?
Taylor ham. It's Taylor ham. It's Taylor ham. I'm from North Jersey, so I have that benefit. But listen, I at one stage I Googled this because going back and forth to Trenton and playing golf with friends down the shore, I thought to myself, somebody's right or wrong here. So I Googled it, and this guy John Taylor, invented this thing back in the 1800s or something like that, and he actually had to go to at one stage somebody else was producing it, so he went and tried to sue them, and he lost the name. He lost the ability to have it just called Taylor ham, but it was originally Taylor ham. So I'm
Okay, so
sticking with the origins.
right,
So
so
it's that way, right?
it changed over, right? He lost the lawsuit. He's a loser in this. The product is now named pork roll. There you go. Pork roll is what it's called.
We could have guessed that's what you were
That
going.
came off harder than I mean to. I didn't mean to come at you that much there, Kev. Yeah, I would have bet that we've asked this question to so many people, and you do fall above that. You're in the Taylor ham country, and then being from Bergen County,
I don't even know where that is. I don't know where that's, if it's 195 and above, or it's a little farther north than that. But I would imagine that there's definitely a line where everybody
It's
up here is
definitely north of 195. I'd say it's closer to 78.
There you go. Okay.
It's right around, like, you get kind of a gray area between like the Driscoll Bridge, like once you go over the Driscoll Bridge there.
Yeah, that might be better than 78, because I live in south of 78 now, and everybody around me says Taylor ham still. I'm in Cranford now, so yeah.
Okay, so I'd say that's a gray area. 78 is probably a little too high, but that Driscoll Bridge to like a little bit further, maybe to Rutgers. You're probably in that gray area of like it's split between pork roll and Taylor ham there.
But isn't it nice to pay tribute to the guy who created this magnificent food substance? I think it's just, why not say
Listen, when we
credit where
come up,
credit's due.
when we come up to Forest Hill, we'll bring you a pork roll. Then you could be the judge of it. And then when you have it, and you're like, wow, this is really good. All right, I'm coming over to the dark side. You know,
I'm eating it either way, so I don't care where.
as our way.
It's a
Yeah.
staple.
Same with us.
Yeah, so
Uh,
true.
Well, Kev, thanks so much for coming on. This has been an absolute blast. It's an absolute pleasure to have someone like you on, someone of your caliber, being such high up, to give us lowly guys that talk about New Jersey golf. Some of your time is really a treat on our end. So thank you so much for jumping on with us, talking some golf with us, and anytime that you want to come back on, you let us know.
I appreciate that. Listen, guys, you guys are doing real good work. Anytime the conversation continues in New Jersey about golf, we love this game for a lot of different reasons. Exercise, camaraderie, being outside, and there's so many positives to the game. Hopefully, we just keep having it grow and bringing people into the fold. And you guys do a good job of keeping the conversation going. So thanks for doing what you do.
Appreciate it, pal.
Cheers.